Hi, my name's Savage Bruski, and this is a Gobstein confessional behind the scenes. So I play one of the goblins named Nyx Darkfang. Nyx is the leader of the wolf riding goblin faction. There's 3 goblin groups in the island we're playing on. Nyx is a nomadic assassin type who rides wolves, and that's basically the faction. They started off in the plains, sort of in the middle of the map, and they are the hunter-gatherers. Historically, you might compare them to the Mongols or the Huns. They don't have cities, they don't have big walls, they just kind of ride around, and their thing really is mobility, speed, and hunting, essentially. Nyx himself is a little bit of an assassin, and he's passed that on to some of the guys in the faction, so he is very much willing, or if not able, to backstab, and sometimes he'll do that to meet his ends. Going into this, I didn't know what to expect because this is my first Braunstein style game. I'm a war gamer first and an RPG gamer second, so I had a hard time, figuring what would be happening and what would be going on, and I was a little surprised sometimes, day 1 or 2, finding out that I might be in a battle, and I was not necessarily thinking with that in terms of the characters and the other players. So talking with the game master Jack, it was kind of like, this was his first rodeo too, but he had more of an RPG background, so we would bounce things off each other. I mean, the whole wolf riding goblins faction was kind of his idea. I was just a fit me in guy. I didn't know if we were going to have more humans or more goblins, and he said, nobody's doing wolf riding goblins, so maybe you should. And then I ran with it. Really, that was not my idea, but I did run with it. My strategy at the start was very much cautious and to observe what was going on. The talk at that time had been that the point of the goblins is that they now have gunpowder, they now have black powder, and this has raised them to an even keel with the humans, who were sort of the power on Gobstein Island. So I was going into this thinking, we're gonna have this goblin alliance, and we're really gonna be a new power, and we don't necessarily have to tread lightly, but some players were not in any way gonna be a threat. They were more working with the other players. They were more peace-minded. There were 1 or 2 that were just absolute wild cards, and it was like, okay, day 2, I think it was, finding out that it looked like I was going to be under attack, and I had this drastic safeguard my populace, lay traps, get to a place of safety sort of style, and that ended up serving me fairly well throughout. The other characters and factions, straight off, I mean, one was very, not as a player, but as his actions, he was very militant, he was very offensive, and he was very like in your face, and it was kind of unnerving from the get to realize, okay, I'm instantly in a war footing. Another one was really hard to read because I couldn't actually tell if he was just being eccentric or if he was playing the character, or if he actually, as a player, didn't totally know what was going on. And it was kind of rough dealing with him because he would like broadcast his orders. We did this over Twitter, and he would put his orders right out in the open to everyone instead of sending them right to the game master. The other ones were a lot more straightforward. The halfling, they were just very overtly, we want to trade, we want to be friends with everyone, we don't mean anyone any harm. The dwarves were hosting meetings for everyone. They were very much the diplomats going forward. One of the goblins was just instantly in touch with me, like, okay, what do you need? How can I help? Do you have any of this? Can you help me do that? Very collaborative. The elves were sort of hard to read because they were pretty much instantly the target of one of the other players, and it was like we walked into the situation like we were witnessing a war already going on. He was definitely not in a position to be threatening to us, but it was kind of hard figuring out, okay, when that pressure is gone, how is he going to be? Because there were definitely points where it was like, is this guy going to backstab us? Is this kind of, going dark here? I don't really know. It was hard to gauge the players, and I think that was the fun of the Braunstein style game, because you couldn't tell what everyone was really thinking and doing, and fog of war really was a thing. Favorite moments, I really started getting into things when like I said, I felt I was very much under attack in the beginning, or very nearly to the beginning. I literally uprooted all of my people. I moved them somewhere else, and I was just like, okay, I'm going to take what I was built into as a faction. I'm going to change that slightly, and I'm going to set something else up somewhere else that even now, I think only the game master knows where it is. I basically created a wilderness hideaway in the forest to the south. This was meant to be kind of like a Lothlorien type haven. This was meant to set up like a very hidden place of strength that most people wouldn't want to go, and if they did, they have to cross through like a straight mile of traps to get at me. So it was meant to be well defended for the type of character I was playing. I wouldn't go to a city. I wouldn't go take over a fortress. I would make one somewhere someone probably wouldn't be looking. So doing that and actually setting that up was one of my favorite things, because as I said, I don't think anyone until towards the very end actually knew where I was. I turned my encampment of where I had started in the game. I thought that was going to be attacked pretty rapidly. I basically booby-trapped the whole thing. Unfortunately, no one triggered it, but that would have been the world's biggest bonfire, so lucked out, guys. Do I want Gobstein to continue? Absolutely, because I think we really only just got started. We only had about 3 weeks of play, and even 3 orders a day every day for 3 weeks in one-to-one time, you really don't have time to do much. You couldn't build something large. You couldn't really wage a campaign of much length. We really had skirmishes, if anything. And there's a lot of things left open that the finale is going to handle some of them, but there's a lot more to explore in the world of Gobstein. One player was taken out. One player character was killed. It remains to be seen, now that that pressure and that threat is gone, is there going to be another one? Is someone else going to step up? And it's just, I think it creates enough fun that there's something there to see and there's something to look forward to. Everyone in this has been absolutely great, and everyone came to the table. Jack, first off, for just diving in his first Braunstein game, taking the orders, keeping everyone up to date is a mountain of work, and he's done fabulously well with that. Otherwise, I mean, Crit Heads playing Horus, great character, but he also contributed the maps we were using, and he was, he would keep updated, like, okay, this battle's going on over here, this bridge is destroyed, oh my god, a volcano erupted, and he would update the map so that as we went forward, things that changed would be reflected in the map. OSR Dwarf playing Hrothgar the Dwarf, number one for really being a source of all the, we did a lot of AI art, and he was probably the source of most of it. And he would freely give stuff out if he knew you were doing something. Like, hey, here's one of the other Goblin players, Mortar McTrebuchet playing Bombard McCannonade. He was an absolute joy to work with, because he was just really, he was the definition of a team player, and the guy was just right there backing you up and really working with you the whole time. Same with Quinto, the halfling player. The players for the humans, Cuthbert and Odo Uther, these guys I think put more into their characters. Hrothgar did more, but these guys really had layered characters. Their dialogue, playing the character was really spot on at all times. You never saw them just doing regular dialogue, and everything just went absolutely great in the end. So I think given how we started and how we set up, it worked absolutely great, and I am absolutely down to see where Gobstein 2, 3, 5, 10 takes us, and hopefully we'll be the Spaceballs Rocky 5000 joke in a couple of years or something. But it's been a joy, and it's been really fun, especially backing up the kids at St. Jude's, like playing for charity and helping to fundraise and really getting people behind something that's a cause, and not just a bunch of guys playing a game. You can't beat that. You really can't do anything better in your life, I think. So that's really been a joy, and I'd love to see where it goes.